Ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Ain't gonna study war no more.
Now sing it like you're looking at Putin, okay? Next verse. Gonna shake hands with the Prince of Peace.
Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, gonna shake hands with the Prince of Peace. Down by the riverside, study war no more. Ain't gonna 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 study war no more.
One more time. Ain't gonna
study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
All right. We might mess around and have a revival down at the UU Church. Paul Stuckey once said, the world doesn't go by too fast. We do. So this next song is a song that kind of, if you're ever in a hurry somewhere, you can sing the song to yourself. It might help you slow down a little bit. But it's a song by Simon and Garfunkel, a 49th Street Bridge song, or otherwise known as Feeling Groovy, or otherwise known as Slow Down, You Move Too Fast. Ready, boys and girls? Sing it with us if you know the words, please. Slow down, you move too fast. Got to make the morning last, just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun, feeling groovy. Hello, lamppost, what you knowin'? Come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do, all is groovy. Got no needs to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time cast all its petals on me. Life, I love you, all is groovy. Let's do the first verse one more time and you do it. Slow down. Fun and feeling groovy. Thank you. Now the real service begins.
We're going to do Somos San Barco or not?
Prelude.
Oh, good. All right.
So you're going to do the announcements first.
Be alive in Transylvania County this morning. I'm Ginny Rush, and I have a few announcements for you this morning. Fellowship on the Green is taking place every Tuesday at lunchtime. You're welcome to join us, weather permitting. Oh, we're going to have coffee hour today since we aren't required to wear masks and you can't drink coffee wearing a mask. So the special collection this month is for UUTC's own Dignity Project, which provides personal hygiene items, condoms, and diapers, and wipes so that our neighbors in need can face the world with dignity. UUTC retreat at the mountain is coming up. Join us for a lovely retreat together, which will be held the weekend of September 9th through 11th at the UU Camp and Conference Center at the mountain. Registration costs go up July 29th and space is limited, so register soon. I'm not going to tell you about the summer service schedule because you already know it. You're here. So we'll now have the prelude.
This other song we'd like you to sing along with us if you'd like. It's Somos El Barco. Perhaps you heard it from Peter, Paul, and Mary. Stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. The boat we are sailing on was built by many hands. The sea we are sailing on, it touches every land. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. Thank you, John. So with our hopes we set the sails and face the winds once more. And with our hearts we chart the waters never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me. We are the boat, we are the sea, I sail in you, you sail in me.
Our opening words this morning are from Psalm 98. Oh, sing a new song to the eternal. Shout praise, all earth, break into music and song. Praise the eternal with lyre and song. Let the sea and all within it thunder praise. The world and its inhabitants, let rivers clap their hands, let mountains sing in chorus. Oh, sing a new song to the eternal. We'll now have hymn number 361. could sing Enter, Rejoice, and Stay In. The opening words are from, or the chalice lighting words are from T.S. Eliot. What we call a beginning is often the end. To make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time.
Good morning.
Good morning. The name of the song is?
Oh, the name of the song is We Can Be Kind, Ain't It the Truth? Written by a wonderful songwriter named David Friedman, who I went to graduate school with.
That's right. He's a friend of ours.
Many years ago.
Who arranged the song?
Oh, that doesn't matter. That's immaterial.
So many things we can't control.
So many hurts that happen every day.
So many heartaches that pierce the soul.
So much pain that won't ever go away. How do we make it better? How do we make it through? What can we do when there's nothing we can do? We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same thing.
And maybe we'll find.
Maybe we'll find if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring.
Nobody really wants to fight.
Nobody really wants to go to war.
If everyone wants to make things right,
Then what are we always fighting for? Does nobody want to see it? Does nobody understand? The power to heal is right here in our hand. We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same thing.
and maybe we'll find.
Maybe we'll find if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring.
And it's not enough to talk about it.
Not enough to sing a song.
We must walk the walk about it. You and I.
You and I, we've got to try to get along. We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember remember that deep down inside we all need the same thing.
And maybe we'll
find if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring.
And maybe we'll
find true peace of mind if we always remember we can be
Thank you. We can be kind. We need each other. Thank you, James and John, right? Did I get that right? Okay, good. Also, I don't know, most of you know the Eclectics, John and Jim and I, but we were joined this morning by Nancy Carroll. So just in case you didn't know, Nancy was with us. Preacher Bob and I have been talking about how we can experiment with joys and sorrows, and so that's what we're doing. We're kind of experimenting, so bear with us. There may be a little chaos in it this morning. So what we're going to do this morning is last time we did it, the people who were streaming couldn't hear the joys and the concerns that were shared, so now we have a mic up here. And we want to take a few moments. Before we do this, though, I want you to just take a few 30 seconds and just greet the people around you. I know you've been here, you've been talking to people, but just greet the people around you. Say hello, good morning. Well, I didn't have the gong to get you back in your seats this time. That was nice. I was going to gong it to get them back in their seats, but they did it ahead of time. So, if you have, let me preface this. This is a time that we as a community are given the opportunity to share our joys, our struggles, our pain, our sorrow. But in the past, we tend sometimes, I'll include myself, to abuse it. We give commercials, we do advertisements, we write out little speeches that we read. Let's try to avoid that if we can. If you have something heavy on your heart that you would like to share with this community, if you have a joy that you wish to share with the community, I want to give you a moment to come up and use the microphone and share that. And as you're sharing that, I'll light a candle for you. So does anyone have a joy or sorrow they'd like to share with us this morning?
My joy is that I'm going to be at Blue Ridge Lake with my kids and my grandkids for 4 days. We're going next week in celebration of my 70th birthday.
Early, I lit a candle for Jill Beach, whose sister died this week.
My continuing concern is for my sweet wife, Linda, our children's mother, who continues to live in assisted living up in Mills River, and for whom lots of days bring lots of challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I have a joy, and that is to see my wife, Nancy, play with the Eclectics again. She loves her flute. She doesn't play very often, and it's wonderful to hear her playing her flute again.
I'd like to light a candle of both joy and sorrow. My joy was 39 years with my husband, David Warner. My sorrow is that he passed this week. Please hold him in your hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. That's David Warner. Thank you, Christine. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share with us this morning? I want to quote from the book, The Body Keeps the Score. Jim Hardy introduced this book to me several weeks ago. It's, Earl Rabb said it's been on the New York Times bestseller now for, I don't know how many weeks. You remember what that was, Jim? The author is Bessel van der Kolk, MD, and he's a psychologist, neurologist, I think. But anyway, he says something in this book that I think is so important. I want to share it with you. A few years ago, I heard Jerome Kagan, a distinguished emeritus professor of child psychology at Harvard, say to the Dalai Lama that for every act of cruelty in this world, there are hundreds of small acts of kindness and connection. His conclusion, to be benevolent rather than malevolent, is probably a true feature of our species. Being able to feel safe with other people is probably the single most important aspect of mental health. I'm going to read that again. Being able to feel safe with other people is probably the single most important aspect of mental health. Safe connections are fundamental to the meaningful and satisfying life. Numerous studies of disaster response around the globe have shown that social support is the most powerful protection against becoming overwhelmed by stress and trauma. Social support is not the same as merely being in the presence of other people. The critical issue is reciprocity. Reciprocity. Being truly heard and seen by the people around us. Feeling that we are held in someone else's mind and heart. For our physiology to calm down, heal, and grow, we need a visceral feeling of safety. Now listen closely to this next line. No doctor can write a prescription for friendship and love. Did you hear that? Good. No doctor can write a prescription for friendship and love. These are complex and hard-earned capacities. So we just had a moment of sharing. People shared their joys, their sorrows, their struggles. So it's important that we reciprocate that we hold those joys, those sorrows in our hearts and in our minds. So let's spend the next few moments in silence and do just that. I'll chime this bowl, and then at the end of our time, I'll chime it again. Just follow the sound into the silence, and when you're in that silent moment, just reflect on your life, where you've been, where you're going. We don't have any children, do we, that would like to come down for a children's message? I saw that. She said no. Okay. Would you like to hear the children's message anyway? Raise your hand if you'd like to hear it anyway. All right, good. Got it. Rumi. Everybody knows Rumi, the Muslim Sufi mystic. He tells a little story about taking his hands and pushing against the tree, trying to move the tree, and he can't do it with his hands. So the wind comes along and moves the tree. And his lesson from that is some of the most powerful forces in the universe are invisible. We can't see them. So that was my little children's message. The wind. Did you know the wind, hruk, is the Hebrew word for breath, wind, and that's where we get the word spirit. You know, Jesus says the wind is like the spirit, and I can really identify with what he says there because he says you don't know where it's coming from and where it's going. I don't know where I've come from, where I'm going, but it's, you know, the spirit. Anyway, okay. Time for our offering. And the offertory is coming right out of the hymnal. Freely we have received of gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this bounty.
I think this. Yeah. Before we sing, I just want to make sure that everybody knows who these two gentlemen were who graced us with their presence and their music. This is James Mack and John Otterton, who in recent years have blessed us with their presence during the summer months. They are at home during the rest of the year in St. Pete, where John leads the music, directs the music at the St. Pete UU Church. James and John, we're so happy that you're blessing us with your presence.
We're going to steal the battery out of their car so they can't go back down.
Yeah. Ernie has to always get the last word.
Oppressed so hard they could not stand.
people go afar by night and a shade by day. Let my people go. Let my people go. And where the slavery chains forlorn. Oh, won't you let my people go? Go down. Go down, Moses. Way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people, let my people go.
There she is, okay. Are we going to have the responsive reading on the screen, or, okay, there you go. Jeannie.
You are the yellow. The music of the spheres. Its rhythms are the equal, repeated seasons. The beating of the heart. The cycles of stars and corn. Rhythms of moon and tide, one single rhythm in planets, atoms, sea. Melody, accord, arpeggios, the harp of the universe, unity behind apparent multiplicity.
Thank you, Jenny. And thank you, choir. And thank you, Catherine and Doug, and the worship team, and Reverend Bob. And thank all of you for being here. We're going to sing my favorite Moody Blues song for you. And then after that, I'm going to do some speaking. The name of this song is Voices in the Sky. And so we're going to do that. And I told myself, I promise I'm not going to play a whole lot of Moody Blues music for you. I thought maybe we could just listen to about 5 or 6 of their songs and go home. but I'm not going to do that. So, Voices in the Sky. Bluebird flying high, tell me what you see. If you could talk to me, what news would you bring? Voices in the sky. Nightingale hovering high, harmonize the wind. Darkness, your symphony, I can hear you sing. Voices in the sky. Just what is happening to me? I lie awake with the sound of the sea calling to me. Old man passing by, tell me what you see. Though your voice is faint, I am listening. Voices in the sky. Children with a skipping rope, tell me what you see. Playtime is nearly gone, bells about to ring. Voices in the sky. Just what is happening to me? I lie awake with the sound of the sea calling to me. Bluebird flying high, tell me what you see. If you could talk to me, what news would you bring? Voices in the sky. Voices in the sky. Voices in the sky. Thank you. Thank you.
Get up there and preach one.
Preach it. How many have heard Voices in the Sky before? Okay, I wasn't talking about the song. Raise your hand again if you ever heard voice. Maybe you should go check in with your doctor if you've heard Voices in the Sky. Just kidding. Moody Blues, Voices in the Sky. The year was 1970. I was in, by the way, this sermon is for Joyce Stanwood, so if it goes bad, then you know who to talk to. 1970, I was in Camp Pendleton, Marine Corps Base in California, getting ready to go to Vietnam. And in the barracks, on the radio, came the song Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues. And I was just swept away. And right there at that moment, I became a fan of the Moody Blues. And when I say fan, I mean the word fan as in fanatic. Fanatic. I was a fanatic follower of the Moody Blues. Of course, back then you didn't have CDs and tapes. You had to wait till it came on the radio. But anyway, didn't go to Vietnam. You're going to really feel sorry for me when I tell you where I really had to go, to Hawaii. And when we got off the plane, they issued us surfboards and sunglasses instead of those whatever you call them. But anyway, in Hawaii. And then the song Question. I heard the song Question. And the words are, between the silence of the mountains and the clashing of the sea. And that's right where I was. So I'd go out to the riding stables on the Marine Corps base at Kaneohe Air Wing Division. And just think about that song, because behind me were the mountains, and in front of me was the clashing of the sea, and then the song Question. Question. And that's what I was doing at the time, because I was I was, like many people, questioning what we were doing in Vietnam and what I was going to do if I was sent to kill people, because that's just not in me. And I really thank God that I didn't go to Vietnam and have to shoot people, because if I had, I wouldn't be standing here right now. Some of my friends did. And one of my high school friends he lives in Hendersonville, and he's traumatized because of Vietnam. So anyway, that music really guided me through that time in my life, and even on beyond. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I still remained a fan of the Moody Blues. I want to say a few things about music in general, and I feel like in many ways I'm preaching to the choir because, and you all are choir too, because I can't imagine anybody who in UU circles who doesn't like music and probably loves music. Believe it or not, there are some people who don't like music. And we had a president that invited musicians into the White House, remember that? And had concerts in the White House. And then we had another president, and I won't talk about that, but there wasn't much music. So believe it or not, there are some people who don't appreciate music. So I'm sure you all do. You love music. If we have sources in our hymnal, and maybe when COVID is past, if it ever does, you can get your hymnals back. And if you're new to UU, I would really recommend looking through the hymnal, because that's what sold me on UUism when I shouldn't say ism, it's not an ism. UU, when I came in, is just looking through the hymnal. And if you flip through to the first 6 pages, you're going to find that Unitarian Universalists have 7 principles. And below that, we have sources that we draw from as individuals in shaping and forming our faith. And they're different. Direct experience, transcending mystery and wonder, words and deeds of prophetic women and men, wisdom from the world's religions, Jewish and Christian teaching. So a lot of different sources that Unitarian Universalists it's okay to draw from any of those sources. But if I could add one more and make it 7 instead of 6, I would add the source of art and music, because that's, for me, been the source of my pilgrimage, my adventure through life is art, and particularly music. And remember, music is like the wind. It's the non-visible art. We don't see it. We hear it. And studies have shown recently how powerful music is. When I was, after I got out of the Marine Corps, I went back to try to live in Los Angeles, California, from Hendersonville, so that was a big shock to move out there. But anyway, I was interested in theater, so I took classes at the University of California, not University of California, Los Angeles Valley Community College. I took a course in theater. And one day in class, the teacher said, what good is a theater? And I'll never forget what this one guy said. He said, you can't eat it, so it's not really any good. You can't eat it. And I said, well, the same applies to music, what good is it? Well, we can't eat it. What practical purpose does it serve? Well, I think we would be difficult in trying to hone in on the practical purposes of music. To me, the purposes of music are spiritual. They're deeply spiritual. And studies have shown recently, more than any other time, the healing power of music, and that music, listening to music, singing music, releases what they call these healing hormones in the body. And they bring a joy, comfort, happiness. So music is a real powerful force in our culture. It's too bad, in my opinion, that when you want to find out what's going on in town in terms of music, you look in the entertainment section of the newspaper. Well, I think really music should be moved out of the entertainment section of the newspaper and put into the health section of the newspaper, and even the religious section of the newspaper. I think that's really where music belongs. Music is not a luxury. It's not something I think you can either take or not take. In my opinion, music is a vital necessity of life. Something Friedrich Nietzsche once said, life, without music, life would be an error. That's not E-R-A, that's E-R-R-O-R. Life would be an error without music. I gave a sermon some years ago when I was still here as the minister. Music saved my life. And I told the story about in 1980 when I fell into a deep, dark, suicidal depression. And I went up on the mountain behind Sandberg's, because I lived in Flat Rock at the time, and I went up on the mountain behind Sandberg's to sit where Sandberg used to sit, out on an overcrop rock. What am I trying to say? Outcrop rock. And I was contemplating taking my life, and a voice in the sky, voices in the sky said to me, music will save your life. And it did. Music saved my life. So music, I'm sure I'm speaking for all of you. Music is so vitally important to us. And this is, again, my theory. Music is the highest expression of the human spirit. It takes us where words can't take us. And it expresses profound, deep emotions. William Wordsworth said that poetry is emotions recollected in tranquility. Emotions recollected in tranquility. In other words, we have this powerful emotional experience. We get away from it, and we're tranquil. We recollect it, and he says that's the source of poetry. Of course, we're not all poets, but you've got to be really artistic to create poetry out of emotions. But the same is true of music, but I would say in the case of music, music is emotions composed in tranquility. Music expresses emotions that words can't express, that are composed by a composer. If music were all just emotions, we'd all be great musicians. But it takes that ability to compose those emotions. Music is not just the expression of emotion, it's the discovery of motion, of emotions. Sometimes you might be watching a scene or listening to music, and you suddenly feel something you've never felt before. And you really can't give expression to it. It's a joy that's inexpressible because you're listening to a piece of music. One last thing, we all know about the universality of music. Every culture, all through history, in all time, all places, has had music. So if the further we go back in terms of the history and the evolution of music, we discover that you can't separate music from spirituality and religion the further back you go. And it may be just, the beat of a drum somewhere. Or it may be flutes and violins and piano, but its connection goes back to religion. Okay, I think I've said enough about music. Oh, one more thing. You can't think of a great protest movement without thinking of music. I can't think of the civil rights movement without thinking of We Shall Overcome. And I can't think of the Vietnam War protest without thinking of Peter, Paul, and Mary, Bob Dylan, and Pete Seeger. They're inseparable. So I always say, music is like cooking with cheese. You just can't go wrong if you got it on your side. So if we have music on our side, there's a lot we can do. Okay? Also recognize the dark side because of Hitler's use of the music of Richard Wagner, and the dark side of the use of music to that Hitler tapped into, which is kind of, again, the dark side. Okay, enough of that. The Moody Blues. I love their music. I love the melody. It was really the melody that stuck in my head all through my 20s. I just love the melody. I love their use of the what's called the Moog synthesizer. And by the way, those Moog synthesizers are made over in Asheville. And so the Moody Blues, they really highlighted the synthesizer. So their music to me always had kind of a haunting effect. I really didn't pay attention to the words until later in life, and sort of osmosis. My mind was taking in the words, but it was really the music that I was attracted to. Now, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the Moody Blues themselves. They formed in 1964, and they're still around today doing concerts. I think Catherine and Doug have some pictures of them doing there they are, not too long ago they did that concert. I would, if I had to describe their music and their words, their lyrics, I would say it this way. It's a unique combination of mysticism, universalism, humanism, and naturalism. Mysticism, universalism, humanism, and naturalism. That's the way I would describe their lyrics and their words. And when I say mystic, I don't mean anything mystical. When I use the word mystic, I think of it's just another way to say, there are some things that transcend reason and logic. And if you just close your mind to just logic and reason, then in my opinion, you've got a restricted consciousness. So mysticism is just another way of saying, reason is a great thing, but there are just some things that are beyond reason. So mysticism, that's what that means to me. The naturalism, I love the naturalism of the songs of the Moody Blues because they talked about how nature spoke to them, how the trees spoke to them. This is mainly Justin Hayward, the one who wrote these words to these songs. Take the song, for example, Tuesday Afternoon. The words are, the trees are drawing me near. I've got to find out why. Those gentle voices I hear explain it all with a sigh. I just love that line. The trees are drawing me near. I'm a lover of trees. I love trees. I have a favorite tree between here and Mills River. It's on the left, and it's just this beautiful, gorgeous tree. It's out in a field, and the cows have walked under it, so it's got this straight line under it, and it goes like that. And I just can't drive by there without looking at my favorite tree. Trees were at one time worshipped by our ancestors. Abraham had his sacred grove that he would go to and talk to his oracle tree that would talk to him. So I love that idea. The trees are drawing me near. There's a trail behind the fish hatchery. I think it's called Picklesheimer. Is that right? Huh? Picklesheimer's Field. There you go. Anyway, if you walk back up there to Picklesheimer, and instead of going right through the field, you go left, what's that trail? Anyway, there's a grove of hemlock trees up there, and it's just this, I just feel so mystical in that place. It just has a mysterious quality about it. So I love trees. The trees are drawing me near. Nature's calling me to come. Nature is speaking to us all the time. And when I think of that, I can't think of that song, Deep Calls to Deep at the Sound of the Cataracts. So there's a depth in nature that speaks to the depth in our souls. So that connection to nature, I really like that from the Moody Blues. Another one of my favorite songs is titled simply Om. The Hindu Om. Om. Let's all do it. Om. That was nice. That song led me to research. What is Om all about? Well, you probably know, but Om comes from Hinduism. Om represents the sound that the voice can make from the letter A to the letter Z, starting down here with a guttural, Om, and then all the way up to the closing of the lips. That represents every word that's ever been created in this world. So it represents language. But if you notice the Hindu, they have a little hand gesture they do with that Om, and they take the three letters, O-M or A-U-M, and they wave those across the top of their hand, Oh, and when they reach underneath, it's the silence, the great silence, the eternal silence. We all came from the eternal silence, and we're all going back to the eternal silence. Words are just surface things, you know. We can't get lost in the words, but words are just surface. But underneath that is the great silence. So that song made me think about that. I love it. Now, that reminded me, see, all these things are universal. They're all connected. Because there's this story in the book of Job where Job says, I'm going to talk to God because I'm angry at God, and I want an audience with God because God has done me wrong. And everybody talks about the patience of Job. Job was not patient. So he insists that he's going to talk to God. So he finally gets an audience to God, with God. And he says, you know, God, you've done me wrong, and this, that, and the other. And God says, well, you know, Job, and then there's 3 chapters of where God says to Job, do you know where the fountains of the great waters come from? Do you know? All these questions that Job can't possibly answer. And then what Job does is this. He puts his finger on his mouth. He recognizes the great silence. So the same idea in Hinduism, same idea in the Hebrew Bible. You get to that place where you realize you just don't know. And you put your finger on your mouth. And you hear the silence. Okay. Walking in the sand, looking at things, adventures in my mind, tall ships that sail across the ocean wide. They won't wait for me. See how they glide away so gracefully. And with tomorrow, what will they make of me? It leaves me so much to explain. That's the start of our guessing game. There are times when I think that I've found the truth, and there are times when I know that I'm wrong. There are times when I try to hide my fears. Bless the days when I'm feeling strong. I wonder why we try so hard. I wonder why we try at all. I wonder why the world is turning around, because in the end, it won't matter at all. So what matters? What matters? What matters most in life? Okay, open all the shutters on your windows. Unlock all the locks upon your doors. Brush away the cobwebs from your daydreams. No secrets come between us anymore. Only love will see us through. Only love will see us through. There's what matters. Thank you for listening. All right. Here we go. Hymn 212. We are dancing Sarah's circle. Let's stand and sing it together. We are dancing Sarah's circle. We are dancing Sarah's circle. We are dancing Sarah's circle. Sisters, brothers, all. Here we seek and find our history. As Art Linkletter would say, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temples all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. Amen. You may go now.